At exactly 3:04 a.m., I was jolted awake by the piercing ring of my phony, a sound that meant either an emergency or sheer nonsense. This time, it was the latter. Leery-eyed, I checked the alert, vehicle violation, HOA enforcement notice. My groggy brain struggled to process until a second message popped up. Susan M., HOA Vice President, has reported your vehicle as suspicious. Let's be clear, my truck isn't your average pickup. It's a matte black, reinforced utility vehicle, issued under a Homeland Security private contract, packed with classified tech, registered in a federal database, and absolutely none of Susan's business. Her paranoia had apparently escalated beyond nitpicking lawn heights or misplaced Amazon packages. She'd ventured into midnight patrol territory. By the time I threw on a hoodie and stepped outside, red and blue lights were flashing off my leave-wying room walls. Yes, Susan had called 911. I caught her mid-rant, confidently telling the officers, "That truck's been parked here for weeks, and I don't recognize it. It could be part of a smuggling ring." I nearly choked laughing. My unfamiliar truck had been in my driveway since before the HOA was even formed, and Susan had waved at me during her morning power walks 3 times that week. The officers, 2 young guys clearly questioning their life choices, looked exhausted but amused. "Ma'am," one said, notepad in hand but pinned still, "this vehicle is legally registered to this address." Susan, fueled by her self-appointed title and a steady diet of suburban watchdog blogs, doubled down. "Registration doesn't matter. It has no HOA sticker, no VY plate, and it's GI-vying off military VY-bes. Children walk by it." She said military VY-bes, with the convoy tie-in of a bit player in a low-budget spy flick. I approached, handed over my credentials, Department of Homeland Security, Tactical Transport DVY sign, and waited for Susan's jaw to hit the pavement. The officer blinked. "Oh, yeah, this is cleared." Susan's eyes flared. "Why didn't he say that earlier?" she snapped, as if I should wear my federal ID like a convention badge. That's when it hit me. Susan didn't care about rules. She cared about control. Her issue wasn't my truck. It was that it was mine and didn't beg for her approval. The officers excused themselves, one GI-vying me a subtle nod, the universal sign for good luck with that. Susan, in a robe and cheetah print slippers, stood with arms crossed, clutching an imaginary list of grievances. "All vehicles need a VY Cybel HOA parking decal," she said icily, citing page 6, subsection B. I blinked. "My truck's federally exempt." She smirked, "We'll see about that," and strutted off like she just wanted to debate. I laughed, but something felt off. This wasn't over. Susan didn't want a decal, she wanted dominance. I sensed her next move wouldn't be legal, logical, or remotely sane. That night, sleep eluded minute from fear. Susan didn't scare me, but from realization, this wasn't just HOA nonsense. It was personal. She'd crossed a line, and in my world of Homeland Security logistics, line crossers often trip. By morning, I'd made 3 calls, one to my federal liaison, one to a real estate lawyer, and one to a friend on the neighborhood Facebook admin team. Susan thought she was playing checkers. I was prepping for chess. By sunrise, the neighborhood Facebook page was a wildfire. Susan posted a blurry, zoomed-in photo of my truck with the caption, "Unmarked military vehicle poses potential risk to children. HOA must act." I read it twice to ensure it wasn't satire. Comments ranged from, "Isn't that Mike's truck?" to "Susan, chill." But the real bombshell was buried in the replies. Susan was requesting an emergency board meeting over a parked, Homeland Security registered vehicle. She'd put more effort into policing my truck than the town had into fixing potholes. Within 24 hours, paper notices were taped to doors, including mine. "Emergency HOA session, 7 p.m., mandatory for affected residents." Affected? I wasn't just affected, I was the main event. Susan had turned me into HOA enemy number 1, and I wasn't even the guy Leaison recycling out on the wrong day. At 7 p.m., I arrived at the meeting, dressed like I was heading to a deposition, slacks, collared shirt, folder of legal documents in hand. Susan, in a tight blazer, HOA badge, and a clipboard from hell, opened with, "We're here to address a serious breach of community trust," like she was chairing a Senate hearing. She unveiled a slideshow titled "Suspicious Vehicle Threats," a suburban case study featuring my truck in various lighting conditions, like it was a cryptid. "This vehicle," she said with disdain, "has no HOA decal, no VY Cybele front plate, and tinted windows. Someone muttered, "So does your SUV, Susan." She ignored it, pulling out a measuring tape to claim my truck extended 3 inches past my driveway line. I wish I was kidding. I explained calmly. The truck was federally registered, operated under a DHS contract, and exempt from state and local rules. I offered redacted registration data, but Susan cut me off. None of that is HOA approved. A board member, Tom, raised an eyebrow. "Susan, HOA rules don't override federal exemptions." She glared, then proposed 5 new policies. Mandatory HOA decals, 20-foot vehicle length limits, no military-style appearances, updated vehicle photos, and HOA authority over suspicious vehicles. It was authoritarian nonsense. The board looked stunned. 2 voted no, 1 abstained, but Susan invoked a clause for imminent community distress to push temporary rules. She claimed kids felt unsafe walking by my truck. I wanted to ask for names of these traumatized children, but held my tongue. Then she said it. "If this continues, we may seek legal removal of the vehicle." The room went silent. She was threatening legal action against a federally protected asset. I almost pitied her because she didn't know my truck had GPS, a surveillance array, and hidden DHS warning placards stating unauthorized access was a federal crime. I kept quiet, letting her dig deeper. The meeting ended without a vote, just a promise to review YEW further. Susan left smug, but her pride blinded her. Every rule she twisted, every Facebook post, was building a case against her. The neighborhood began to turn. What started as Susan versus my truck was becoming Susan versus reason. By week's end, I documented everything: screenshots, meeting notes, neighbor voice memos about feeling intimidated. Susan thought she was running a neighborhood. She was building her own downfall. Her porch complete with a ring cam and lawn gnomes became gossip central. She distributed flyers titled "How to Spot Suspicious Vehicles," featuring my truck as the prime example. It was so absurd it went viral on Reddit /HOA, with comments like, "Susan's got one Hummer and infinite audacity." Neighbors, once silent, apologized. "Didn't realize she'd lost it," one dad said. An elderly vet nodded. "Nice truck, son. Don't let the cul-de-sac queen boss you." The tipping point came when Susan's HOA Facebook post was replaced with a poll: should Susan make solo policy decisions? She removed it twice. The admin locked her out. She retaliated with a 7 p.m. HOA audit, patrolling with 2 reluctant board members, citing violations like too many wind chimes and mailbox tilts unpatriotically. At 7:46 p.m., they reached my driveway. Susan, acting like she was at Valley Forge, pointed at my truck. "Document this again," she whispered. A board member sighed. "Susan, we logged it last week." She snapped a photo anyway. That's when my truck's security protocol activated a low, loud tone. "Security notice. Federal property. Step away." Susan screamed, tripped over a sprinkler, and landed on her clipboard. My camera caught it all. I stepped inside to avoid laughing audibly. True to form, Susan filed a complaint, claiming my truck audibly threatened her. My DHS contact replied, "Sounds like your HOA's run by cartoon violains." The neighborhood turned fully against her. A petition to restructure the HOA gained 40 signatures in 2 days. Susan's empire was cracking, but she doubled down, sending a letter from Susan Va Associates, her homemade legal firm, demanding I cease, undermining HOA morale. My lawyer friend laughed so hard he spilled his drink, then drafted a reply citing U.S. Code Title 18, tampering with federal equipment is a felony. At the next meeting, Susan called it an urgent HOA reassessment. She was fighting the neighborhood, federal jurisdiction, and reality itself, sprinting toward her own demise, clipboard in hand.